Hey, welcome back to The Good Life. Today, we're going to do a ride with a man affectionately known as the Chief. So today I am here with Alan Baldwin, retired police chief of Seward, Nebraska. And Alan, before we talk about the police chief, your police career, tell me a little bit about how you got into riding motorcycles.
Well, I was probably 13 years old or so when my older brother bought I think it was a 120 Kawasaki or something like that, and we went out for a little ride on I think it was a dirt road, I'm not positive, and he let me ride it, and of course I crashed it right away, flew through a barbed wire fence, got my left arm where I still have scars today, and my brother said right away if we weren't able to ride that motorcycle back home, he was going to ride me home. So, luckily for me, the motorcycle started back up, and we rode it home. But I've been riding basically off and on throughout my life since then. When I was 16 years old, I was notified by a police officer that needed to have a motorcycle license to ride one while I was riding one. He told me that I needed to go get a motorcycle license very quickly, otherwise I was going to get a real ticket out of the deal. So I went, I think it was the next day. I think I studied that night and went to Lincoln the next day and got my motorcycle license. I'm thinking that had to be in summer of 1973.
Wow.
And so in 74, I joined the Army, and in 76, after I got back from active duty, one of the first things I did was bought a motorcycle, Kawasaki 500, and where I had it for one season until myself, motorcycle, the car came in contact with each other. And then after I got rid of that 500, then I bought a brand new 1976 Kawasaki 900. It was one with a windjammer and stair-step seats and stuff like that. Real big bike at that time, 900 cc's. I had it for a couple of years. And then I sold that one in probably 1980 something. I bought another 900 Kawasaki and had it for a couple of seasons. And then I quit riding because we started having children. And then I did start riding again. My first Harley was in 2012. And that was a weird story a little bit. 2012, my family was being honored in Palmyra for Palmyra Days, not homestead, but the settlers picnic type thing, I think it's called Palmyra. And because my great-grandfather, I believe, was one that helped set up the settlers picnic thing in Palmyra, Nebraska. And so I was with my wife. We were driving along, going down to this big ceremony thing, or picnic and parade stuff where myself and other family members were going to be honored and just ride and float in the parade and stuff like that. And while we were riding along, I was talking to my wife Janet, and I said, I've always wanted to ride a motorcycle in Sturgis. Now this had to be in June of so, June of 2012. And I said, I've always wanted to ride a motorcycle to Sturgis. And she said, why don't you? Go ahead, go do that. I didn't want to look at her because I wasn't real sure I was actually, my wife was telling me that. So I kind of kept the conversation going a little bit. And while in Palmyra, my cousin's husband, George Hansen, was there. And George is a Harley rider. And I told him, I said, you know, I'm thinking about riding Sturgis. And Janet, my wife, said that I could rent a Harley and maybe go do that. Anyway, while we were there at this activity in Palmyra, it was decided then that George and myself would go to Sturgis that year. We just need to figure out how I was going to get a motorcycle.
So you didn't have a motorcycle at that time?
No, I did not.
Okay.
And I really hadn't ridden 2012. I probably had not really ridden a motorcycle too much since 1980 probably.
So here you'll have to show us your good turnaround ability.
Well,
see if you have some of that cop turnaround.
Yeah, I do it a little different when I drive a police car than I do a motorcycle. Let's see. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite as good as Brian's from Renault, but close. Obviously, I did not know that was a dead end. So, anyway, we ended up going to Sturgis that year. That was my first year. I bought I looked around at some different bikes and things like that, and I ended up buying a 1993, I believe, Electric Glide. Was my first Harley.
Wow.
And so we went out to Sturgis and we had a good time with my cousin's husband, George Hansen. And then I started, I was during that time, right before I even went to Sturgis, like I said, I think I bought my 2012 first Harley, so probably around June or July early, and I only had a couple months before I went to Sturgis.
On that bike?
Yeah, and I think I put on like 3,000 miles within that time frame when you prepared to ride to Sturgis. So I got used to the bike before we went, and so since 2012, I've been a pretty avid Harley rider.
And you're a part of the Hog chapter.
Yep. Yeah, I'm technically a thing called road captain of the Hog chapter, as well as don't evaluate me on my safer ride today. But as well as I was a member of the leadership team for a few years as well in the Hog chapter. So I was a pretty active member, have been off and on over the years. Frontier Hog chapter, Lincoln.
So where all have you ridden? I've seen you've taken quite a few motorcycle trips. Where all have you gone?
Well, you know, I don't know how many states I've ridden in.
Okay, turn right here.
Okay. I think we went on an 11-day ride with Terry King and Ken Dockey and Tom Myers, Teacher Tom. I think it was 11 days, and we were down in Tennessee, Georgia, and Kentucky, and Virginia, West Virginia, Georgia. I can't remember all the states, but.
So did you ride the Tail of the Dragon then?
Yeah, we rode that 3 times in one day.
Wow.
That's why you see on the back of my bike it says Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rode that myself and Teacher Tom rode it 3 times one day. And it was raining that day.
Wow.
We were about the only foolish people on it that day. It was kind of nice because there wasn't any other hardly traffic. So, and I really didn't see it that challenging. I mean, it was fun and fine. I think I've ridden on as equally challenging roads at other places.
Where?
It's not saying that we didn't enjoy it, because we did. And give me the opportunity, I would go ride it again. And then, so yeah, I've been to Arkansas several times, and Sturgis area, South Dakota, and riding the Black Hills and all those areas like that. I've ridden numerous times. I think I rode the Needles Highway and Iron Mountain like 5 times a week one time up there.
Both ways?
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. And so, for a variety of different reasons. During Sturgis week and other times when I was up there.
Yeah, then left here.
I've been to, since 2012, I've been to all of the, 2012, I've been to all of the Sturgis bike rallies. Except for last year on my way there, when I laid my bike down going through the Badlands. And this bike that I'm riding today, I laid that down then and did quite a bit of damage to it as well as myself. And
what all damage was done to both you and the bike?
I did over $14,000 of damage to my bike, and all of my entire left side of the bike. And I think I was doing like 25, 30 miles an hour. At first, I thought I was only doing like 17, but I just rode that same area about a week or two ago and realized I was probably going faster than I thought. But anyway, I just rode through, hit the mud, slipped on the mud. My bike fell down, fell on top of me, and broke 5 ribs on my right-hand side and 2 ribs on my, the other way. 5 ribs on my left-hand side, 2 ribs or so on my right-hand side, and kind of messed up my left lung. I wasn't able to walk a period of time, and without a walker, and I struggled. The Wednesday night riders and the rest of the hog chapters, stuff like that, different people came in, and my police officers and stuff supported me really heavily during that time where I couldn't hardly walk and get around. And of course, my wife took care of me the whole time, and it wasn't able to ride much during that time frame.
Yeah, I would guess not. Wow. So how many do you know approximately how many miles you've ridden?
Oh, I've ridden a Harley probably 100. I'm gonna guess 100. Well, right now this bike's in it. I bought this bike in 2018. I bought it in 2000. I've got 35,000 miles on this bike, and I've ridden probably a Harley 135,000 miles.
Wow.
And then I've got some miles Kawasaki copies. I would say over 135,000 on Harley. So.
And how many?
And I've ridden to Canada. Myself and teacher Tom Meyer, we rode to Niagara Falls.
Oh wow! So you've almost been coast to coast, huh?
More like up and down. It's been coast to coast, but I have ridden some east and west. Some of those trips, it's more from going north and going south.
Uh-huh.
And quite a few different trips.
And so, how many times have you named a few little run-ins and crashes? Do you know how many of those you've had?
How many crashes, motorcycles?
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. I was trying to think of that the other day. It's got to be at least 5.
And yet you're still choosing to ride. That's something pretty darn impressive. You know, when you see everybody has the scare of, they don't want to ride anymore after crashes, but...
Well, yeah, I've never done... It's not been the motorcycle's fault. It's usually my me doing something I probably shouldn't do, or, and it just weird circumstances that occurred.
But you enjoy the freedom enough to take it up again. Right.
In fact, when I crashed the last time, I told my wife I didn't think I was going to ride again, and she basically said, "No, you need to go ride. You really enjoy it. You need to go ride." And thank goodness, basically, knocked me back into riding again. And you know, I don't know whether I put on 10,000 miles. I put on about 5,000 just in the month of August.
This year.
This year, I put on over 5,000. I probably got, you know, 6,000 miles in the month of September and August here.
Wow. So that brings us to career-wise. Now, you grew up in Nebraska?
Yeah, Palmyra, Nebraska.
And then, when did you begin a police career?
I was in the Army in 1974. I was a thing called a 2-year man, 2 years active duty, 2 years active reserve, 2 years inactive reserve. And I went in 74, that's right before Vietnam was technically over. Although I never thought in combat, I was a thing called a combat engineer. And so after I was in the Army and came out of my active duty, then I worked a couple different jobs. But really what I did is I started going to college then and started working on a degree in computer science. While I was in the Army Reserve, I met the mayor of Seattle. And he asked me what I was going to do after I got my degree and what I was going to do in the future. And he was the first sergeant of the Army Reserve component that I was. He happened to be a former, well, he's a Marine, right? A bunch of Marine always. But he was in the Army Reserve component at that time. Larry McKee is his name. He just called me about a month or so ago and congratulated me on my retirement. So anyway, told me Beatrice was looking for a police officer and I should apply. Well, I went down and applied, and I thought, well, for sure I'd stay down there for a couple of years, and I ended up staying there for 15 years.
Wow.
And I was promoted from a police officer to a rank as sergeant, and then while I was there, I finished getting my bachelor's degree and started working on my master's degree while we were down there. And then I left Beatrice to become the chief of police in Cozad. And I was in Cozad for 3 years as chief of police, and I left Cozad as position of chief to become the Stewart chief of police. And I spent 23 years as the chief of police in Stewart.
Wow, so you had a police career for
41 years.
Wow. And with that, what would you say do you feel was your, I don't know, what was your favorite memory from being a police officer?
I think mentoring, teaching, coaching younger officers has probably been my favorite thing. Helping others, you know, and I don't mean just because that's important in handling the calls for service and stuff, but I'm talking about helping the other police officers, younger police officers, be it either a field training officer or in those types of positions. And I've enjoyed that, to see others become better police officers with their careers. I've had a lot of good experiences being a police officer. I wouldn't have changed it for anything. My career's been really good, and my opportunities to travel and see and work with other cool individuals and to help other individuals is phenomenal.
And have you had, what was your biggest scare?
Had guns pulled on me over my career time frame and had to pull my firearm a few different times. You know, I've been in a few pursuits and things like that. There's been quite a few different fears or concerns or scares, I should say, during my career. And you know, as you sit there and you think about it after the fact, you're not. I knew at the time it was pretty intense type of a thing going on, but you know, after it's over, you don't think about it all that much. It seems like, but I've had a few incidents.
Yeah.
You're going to run into situations from time to time.
Have just a time or two, huh?
Yeah. that are not pleasant and scary and worrisome later. And your training kicks in, and you pull your handgun out fast, and you go to arrest mode, and you take them into custody pretty quickly, and that's one of the things that some of my officers, Stewart and Beatrice and others, when it's time to arrest, with handcuffs on, I don't waste a lot of time. I do it, get it done with quickly.
Yeah. So the safety factor remains high.
Yes, right.
And as far as family life, tell me a little bit about your family. How long have you been married?
Okay. My wife and I have been married 41 years as well. We have 2 children. I have one son from previous marriage, and my wife and I, Jen, have been married 41. And all my children are adults now. Obviously, the youngest one is 34, I think, almost 34. So all my kids are doing really good. I'm proud of each and every one of them. We have 5 total grandkids, 3 boys and 2 girls. The oldest grandchild, 10, Emily, and Ruby is 7, and then Kale and Elijah are both 4 years old, and Ezra is 1 year old. So we have 5.
And do they all live close?
Yeah, Lincoln and Seward. Emily and Elijah and Ezra all live in Lincoln, and then Kale and Ruby live in Seward. They only live like 4 blocks away from us in Seward.
Oh, wow.
So they live very close.
So if you had one thing you could tell yourself when you were 20, what would that be?
Probably the same thing that I say all the time now: have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it. And enjoy life. Be more patient with your children than you were maybe. I noticed being a grandparent, I'm a lot more patient with my grandchildren. I realize that when they spill a glass of milk, it's not that big of a deal. and as a parent, you think it's more of a big deal. Life has been very good to myself and my wife and my family. We've been very fortunate, very blessed in a lot of different ways.
Do you have if you could ride anywhere, do you have a bucket list ride?
I think it's called, there's a street in San Francisco, it's like one of the curviest roads around. I think it's called like Umpar or something like that. It's real curvy. It used to be in movies and things. I've wanted to ride that road a little bit, but I don't know if I do now as I get older. I can tell you, when you're younger, the rides are a little bit more aggressive, so to speak. As you get older, those rides are not quite as much.
The long straight rides in Nebraska aren't so bad.
Yeah, exactly. The other ride that I wanted to, one of the other one was go across that long bridge over to Key West in Florida.
Uh-huh.
But I've been told by others that have done it is that it's not as fun as you think it is. And you go slow, and the traffic is bad, and other things like that. So they said it's probably not as enjoyable as you think it might be. So those are a couple roads that I've thought about. I will probably I've ridden across the Coronado Bridge a few different times. I've ridden Harleys in Pennsylvania and San Diego area twice, and Orlando once. And like I said, I've ridden across the bridge, Coronado Bridge in San Diego a few times on rented Harleys. I thought about riding my own bike down there, or riding like into that area.
Uh-huh. So if you could have any bike, Would you still stay with?
Yeah, the road glide, this is my second road glide. I've had 4 Harleys since 2012. I've had 2 electric glides, and then I'm on my second road glide. I really like the road glide. I like the electric glides as well. Actually, I've every motorcycle I've owned, I've enjoyed one way or the other, you know, and you know, every motorcycle kind of has its own personality, it seems like, and good qualities, but if my next bike will probably either, if I was to probably be either a road glide, or I'm getting to the age now, or I might consider like a bike.
Okay.
Reluctantly, I would probably have to buy a bike.
So thanks for watching with us. Until next time, keep the sunny side up, keep the rubber side down, and have an utterly awesome day.